Good evening, everybody. Mike Gary here for Geek Pride's Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition campaign, The Legend of Our Sacrifice. It's been many a week, many a moon since we've all congregated in this single place, but we're back, and we're going to carry on. So with me, as always, we have Conrad as Arno Jerkel. We have Michael as Tharval Eldon.
Hello.
We have Jace's brother Gadden.
Credit card debt?
No! We have Lecky as Bartholomew Pringle.
Hey.
We have Mark as Lance.
Hola.
And we have Vic as Saren Sanguine.
How do?
Right, ladies and gents, it has been it's been a while, so we'll do a quick recap. You've made your way to the Somnium Enclave. You've gone into the Tranquil Gardens, I think that's what they're called, and met a lady who is called, let me just quickly shift it up here. She is called Dorelia. She is basically by a thusis tree and seems to be holding something back. As you can, like, Tharval has noticed that the tree had some black leaves and there was some slight sort of darkness creeping into the beautiful garden. She is basically told you to make your ways to the what are the name of the pools called? The
Pools?
I'm going to say the Scrying pools or something stupid, something like that. Anyway, I've got a long list of things here, and I'm trying to find them. That's artifacts. We don't want artifacts. We want that's not the harmony. Reflective pools. It's called the reflective pools. Okay. You're in the reflective pools, wherein you have to submerge yourselves using some Malthusis oil, which Tharval was kind enough to present to the group, and then basically go into the dream world and try and obtain some seeds from the dream world. Obviously, have been warned that what they see there may want to keep them there, and they have to be very careful, or else they may never leave. And we have had our main dreams so far, where we left off Saren. You had passed your test. You were basically a young girl, and you'd been sort of following your father, and you saw a procession of warriors sort of kind of leaving your village. You've heard this sound, you've heard this sort of harmony, and you've started following it towards a waterfall, and that's sort of where we left you off. Arno, you failed your test. You're currently in a sort of, you know, a pub that you and your brother sort of would go in the small good times you had, and you're drinking, making merry, having a good time. You're feeling really good about the situation.
I'm older, right? I'm much older.
However you want to play it, it's your dream. I just sort of kind of went with it. So you can be older. It can be you later on in life. It can be you when you're younger. Whenever you want it to be.
Yeah, I reckon we're older.
Yeah,
50s, 60s equivalent.
Bartholomew, you passed your test, and you've sort of followed the hymn towards a grand library. So you've sort of made your way into this sort of kind of grand library. Brother Gadden, you sort of passed your test, and instead of following the hunting party, you made your way off somewhere else, though I can't remember exactly where you were going.
The big lake in the middle of the savannah.
Yes, that's it. Big lake. Lance, you failed your test, and you're making your way. You followed your liege lord, your king, and he's drinking and sort of conversing with you in one of the antechambers from the main sort of court room. You're having a few drinks and reminiscing about old times. Tharaval, you failed your test. You're currently in your home with Ceravel and Gaius and your mother and father. Ceravel's kids, Galandra and Valshul, are running around, and generally everything's sort of very, very nice and pleasant. And that's pretty much where we left off. So, who wants to volunteer to go first?
I will.
Okay. So, let me put on some music. That's that we want. Sorry about 1 minute. What was the one we had before?
Please not that goddamn town music.
I'm trying to figure out. I had it. I turned it off. That's tunnels. No, it's not that one. It is. Oh my god! I just turned it off. How freaking annoying.
Trying to resist singing the song.
No, don't do it. Let me see. It's definitely not this one, but we're gonna play it because it's a tradition.
Ba-dum-bum-bum.
Wow, chicka wow wow.
Make something.
Oh
Make
wow!
some music.
Oh wow! Oh wow! Oh wow! The whole song is jarring and hilarious.
Whatever viewers we did have now gone.
Yeah.
There
There we go. We'll go with this one.
Make it stop.
Okay.
I can't seem to hear the music for some reason.
Have you got your audio set for your headphones or whatever it is?
And did you turn down the volume?
Is it
on your-
muted? Mute the tab from the.
Don't think so. Anyway, continue.
No. Okay, so Tharaval, you're sat in your home with your family. You've had a meal. Everything's perfect. It's you're not sure if it's something that happened in the past or it's something that happens in the future or it's something else, but it's just something that's really making you feel comfortable and makes you just want to feel warm and want to stay. I need you to give me a Constitution save.
Boo!
Okay. Yeah. Okay. You feel sort of like you have this momentary sort of like you're losing air, like a gas, like you were choking on something, but it sort of passes quite quickly. You finish your meal, and your mother sort of kind of puts her hand across onto your hand and says, "Well, my boy, it's a big day for you tomorrow. You're gonna need your sleep."
Big day? Question mark.
Your Ceravel laughs and sort of kind of nudges Gaius and says, "He's forgotten. He's had too much ale. He's forgotten already." He says, "You're married, you fool. You're getting married tomorrow."
So Tharaval, sort of, he's a little bit taken back by this. Obviously, not really knowing anything about it or who he's getting married to. But he sort of gingerly, sort of, yeah. I was just jesting. Yes, it is a big day, and where. Speaking of which, where is my my good wife to be?
Let me just think. She as you sort of go, "Where is my good wife?" You hear sort of you hear a knock at the door, and sort of your mum sort of goes and sort of just nods her head towards the door and says, "Well, I guess you could open the door and see."
Supergram. So Tharavel sort of he gets up, sort of quite cautiously, and opens the door.
As you sort of as you open the door, you see a familiar face. You see somebody who you thought you would never see again, and somebody who you've wished you could see once again since that moment in the oh crap, the well, kind of like a coliseum in the fighting pits at the in Kibarath, when you saw her last, and she held the guard at bay as you
Dying.
escaped. Augury stands there and says, "Tharavel, you're not meant to see the bride before the day of the wedding," and she sort of giggles.
He sort of laughs back and he says, "Well, you shouldn't come knocking on my door then." But he obviously has this sort of overwhelming feeling of joy and happiness to see Augury, but I think there's something that just doesn't sit right with him, because he knows that she's not alive.
Okay, roll
What does
me a wisdom save. You can have an advantage on it. Okay, yeah. You see as she sort of gives you a kiss on the cheek, and sort of kind of goes into the room, and sits down, you sort of look over at her, and this sort of harmonious music starts to sort of wisp past your ears. You hear it sort of kind of floating on the wind, and it starts to sort of take you up towards the Ewian Falls. That's the name of your village, isn't it?
Yeah, I went in.
The Ewian Falls.
As in, it sort of calls me towards there, or
Yeah, well,
I
it's
start
sort of it's
floating
going.
there.
That's where it's coming from. The family, your family, sort of are there, and the door is open, and they're sitting there looking at you. You look back. There's a lot of happiness. There's a lot of everything that you could possibly have wanted and dreamed of sitting right there.
Yeah, again, there's something that sort of doesn't sit right with him, but he's obviously, just filled with happiness and joy as to what he's seeing in front of him, and I think he's kind of taken back by it. So he sort of turns to the family and he says, beg my pardon. I need a moment of absence. I feel, and some fresh air. I feel the ale has gone to my head. And he walks towards the door.
As you sort of walk towards the door, Augury sort of puts her hand out, and sort of takes your arm and says, "Don't leave me again, Tharavel. I need you."
He turns to her and he takes her hand, puts it around his neck, embraces her close as he sort of wraps his arms around her waist, and says, I'll always be with you, and gives her a kiss. and a smile, and again sort of turns to walk out the door.
She stands there and lets you walk out the door. As you make your way towards the Ewain Falls. Okay, who's next? Who wants up? Okay, I'm picking then, am I? Who else failed
Do
their
you want to do the
test?
passes first?
Yeah, we'll do
or
the
failed?
field. Yeah, we'll do the fields first. Okay, so Arno.
All right, I'll go then.
Okay,
Yeah.
yep. So you're in the you're in the pub with your brother. You're having an amazing time. It's so good. Again, you sort of feel like this is in the future. Like this is something that is sort of you're going to be able to see your brother again. It makes you feel good because you feel like there's something to live for and not everything is being worth it. I just noticed that beer cup in the middle has a finger as well.
Yeah.
Damn you, AI! Damn you, AI!
It's so funny.
Am I missing something here? I'm still. Is this the picture on Roll20?
Yeah, there's.
Yeah. You
yeah.
need to pull it up yourself. They're all there from the.
Oh
last
right,
session,
okay, they're in the
unless you
artwork, is it?
posted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you scroll in, if you zoom in,
It's got a little
the
nubbin
glass in the
instead of
middle.
a
He's got a little
handle.
nubbin, which I didn't realize. There you go. But yeah, so you're having a great time. He's sort of you're making jokes, and there's plenty of booze is flowing. If there's anything you want to sort of elaborate on, talk about, then you can carry on.
Am I, having failed that last save, am I now sort of more thinking that this is real, or do I still know?
There's
why
no
I came
like I
here,
get the
that this
impression.
is
So
convenient?
when you've gone in, there's been no. You're aware that it's weird, but you're not aware that it's not real. You get what I mean? And that you feel like it's real, and you're not questioning it. You're not questioning it. You're just sort of carrying on.
Okay. Ah, dear brother, it's so good to spend this time with you again. I feel like we've lost so many years. Ah, what is next for us in this life?
He says, he sort of looks at you, and he says, "More beer," and he sort of kind of clinks your glass with his glass and makes you sort of take a drink.
Oh, I'll drink happily, and Arno's normally quite reserved with his drinking because of all of his sort of paranoia and anyone else around. Is there anyone else in this tavern other than the barkeep and?
There's
And
a few
people?
people. Nobody you overly recognize. It's a familiar place. It's if you feel like you know it. Again, you're not
Okay,
sure
so
if
like
it's
a halfling community, maybe. Like,
yeah.
lots of
It's
halflings,
you sort of feel like it's home, but in a sort of it's an odd sort of feeling. But it doesn't feel unfamiliar to you.
Do I note any distinct lack of presence of Kivi, for example, that I notice?
She hasn't crossed your mind at all. There's been no she is not in your thought process at all at this moment in time.
Yeah. Okay, I got you.
Yep. You need to give me a Constitution save.
Con save, yeah. Here we go. Nice.
Yep. Again, you get this sort of as you sort of drink your beer, you feel like maybe it's gone down the wrong hole. You get this sort of kind of slight gasp, but it's like you have a bit of a hiccup and you put the beer down, and so your brother says, so brother, tell me your tales of your heroism. You're the big hero now, aren't you? After defeating all those bad men, but defeating the corruption, tell me your stories. Tell me the tales.
What do I remember as I try and think to telling a tale? Do I do I find any memory
You
of,
feel-
of
I think-
this, or it's all hazy?
I think with Arno, with him, I think being relevant and being sort of useful and being, you know, somebody who's not looked over and passed over, you know, especially due to stature and due to his upbringing and stuff. I think he's got these feelings that, you know, he's become everything that, you know, he wanted to prove to people he was. So he, in his mind or in your mind at this moment in time, you're a hero. You've done these things. You've proven them
So
wrong.
I mean, do I have memories of specific things? Like when
No,
you
I would
tell
say
me
your
telltale?
memories are probably a bit vague. I'd say you wouldn't have any sort of, you'd have sort of hazy sort of
Yeah.
daydreams of what you
he'll
want.
respond. You know me, brother. Hero of the Realm is a title that at one time I would have not really liked the moniker, but it does have a certain nice ring to it, doesn't it? I'm sure I could get a gig at any tavern as the local bard now. And he chuckles. To
Your brother
himself.
sort of stands up on the bar and says, "Ladies and gentlemen, the hero of the realm."
No.
And
no.
starts, and everybody's like, "We're all right, hero. Sing us a song."
He sort of pretends to not want to go up, but also walks up at the same time as sort of pulling out a little pan flute, and he starts sort of whistling a nice sort of melody, and puts it away and brings out his lute, and he starts strumming along and singing a nice quite calm ditty with a more invigorating chorus, and he sort of gets the crowd to sing along with him, and there's a couple of mentions of his party members.
As
in
you're
there.
sort of thinking about your party, it sort of it makes you sort of start thinking deeply, like you're forgetting somebody. Like there's something you're not, that you know that was very important to you but isn't there anymore. So roll me a wisdom, and you can have advantage on it.
Not a wisdom save. Okay, 1 and 2. Come on.
No, you just sort of put, you sort of just go, nah. You sort of like, there's a moment where you kind of stop the music and everybody's sort of staring at you as you sort of kind of zone out slightly, and then you just sort of go, you shrug your shoulders and then start playing away, and everybody starts cheering and the beer starts flowing and everything is fine. Okay. Moving on. Who else failed? Lance, you failed. Okay, so you're in the sort of antechamber with the king. He's drinking merrily and talking about old times and old battles and old stories and things like that.
It seems strange looking back to those times when things were simpler, does it not, my king?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. He sort of walks over to the window and with a goblet in his hand and sort of drinks and says, "It's a worry. Sometimes I think of how things would have been different if we hadn't have defeated the who are you gonna have defeated? Ex-local menace at the time," and sort of looks out the window and says, "Things could have been much different." I'm not sure who they were fighting for him to be killed in the first place during your.
I don't think we ever specified it.
Yeah.
Just left it nebulous, but
But and he sort of kind of says, "But don't think anything of it. We're both here. We're both here, my friend, and I'm glad of it. If only you could drink, but more for me. And he sort of drinks another flagon of ale.
I'm sure the Treasury appreciates the bill being reduced somewhat.
He laughs very heartily. You won't have to do a con save. But are there any questions or anything you want to ask? Anything that sort of may make you feel, in a way that would make you question your reality?
I just turn to him and say, I often wonder, sir, what we'd have done if your luck hadn't improved with the bettings. We hadn't managed to avoid some of your former conquests' lovers quite so effectively. After all, it's the wild youth, as you had it, was fraught with adventures that weren't always on the battlefield, were they?
He says, no, but I had you, my friend. You've saved my life on more than one occasion. Oh, there was that time and that ambush, and I honestly thought I was a goner. But you stepped in front of me, took 3 arrows, pulled them out, defeated everybody. My God, if one of those arrows had hit me, who knows what would have happened?
It's what I'm there for, Malish. It's why I was created.
Are you questioning anything about the situation? Or are you pretty comfortable where it is?
I'm uncomfortable. It seems odd. Hence, I was quite hesitant when I was answering.
Okay.
Because I'm not sure if that quite makes sense. If you know what I mean.
Yeah. Okay. Roll me a. You can have advantage on a wisdom. No, you're. It's just, I think you sort of palm it off as maybe, you you don't like to think of, your charge, your friend, your king, being killed, and that uncomfortable feeling is something that the idea of that, especially with your purpose being his protector, it makes you feel uncomfortable. So you just put it down to that. Okay. Sorry, carry on.
I turn back to the window and say, I dread to think what might have been the outcome if something had gone wrong then. Not just for you, but for the land around us. After all, with no heir, what would have become of the kingdom?
He sort of nods his head and sort of looks out over the city in front of you. Okay. Next up, we've got our passes. So we're going to start off with Barty. I'm going to go for you. So you make your way to this grand library. You follow the music and it takes you to this sort of grand sort of library, sort of floating around the room. And there's many books surrounding you, many sort of volumes of any sort of thing that your heart could desire. Every book that has ever existed, as far as you're aware, is resident within this mighty library. Your opus, everything you've collected in your lifetime.
This is fantastic. And he'll head over to an old looking leather-bound tome, sort of like tucked away.
You sort of open up the book and you start flicking through it. You get this here. just remind me of your nightmare again, by the way. What was your...
Oh, well, I visited a library after refusing a beggar woman. And
No, so there was a... So basically,
is that way
you
back
had...
when?
So, no, you had... So you had to tell me what your
Oh,
dream
crap.
and what your nightmare was, the other half of it. So what was... I've got a picture of basically...
Oh, yeah. The nightmare is just being forgotten.
Okay, so...
Oh, here we go.
I wonder why the
Do you want
ones
me
that
to-
failed haven't gone into their nightmares yet.
Stop encouraging.
Do you want me to forward it on to you again, or
I'll just say what it is.
wasn't
Just say what it is.
Okay, cool. So in a little way from this library, I suppose there's a stone-lined corridor. There's a desiccated corpse shuffling down a stone-lined corridor towards towards the silhouette of an adventurer. The adventurer runs the undead monstrosity through with his sword and steps over the broken body. And as the adventurer begins just rifling through his pockets, you see that it's a load of tattered old moth-eaten robes. And he's actually rifling through Barty's pockets, and Barty was some sort of just long forgotten, godforsaken undead monster just in some dingy dungeon.
Yeah.
In a backwater somewhere.
The AI wouldn't sort of design that for me. So you've got a sort of old man standing over you with a sword, and you're sort of on the ground. But we'll say that's yeah. So you sort of see this. You see this sort of adventurer rifling through your pockets. You notice that you're not quite dead. You're still alive. You recognize that this creature is you. It's unsettling. You sort of kind of voice a shout at the adventurer who's sort of who's rifling through your pockets. He sort of really sort of pulls his hood down and turns to you. You have this sort of toothy grin, this sort of malevolent looking smile, looking straight at you, as he sort of kind of gets his sword and goes to plunge it into the head of what is your dying corpse. Roll me a wisdom save.
Should have had the sheet open.
Yep.
Wee.
Very good. Okay.
Hey.
So as he's sort of as he's about to sort of thrust his sword into your skull, you realize that this isn't real. That's not you. This hasn't happened. This is not real. Before the sword sort of hits your body, you sort of kind of cast out a spell, which sort of, a fireball that hits the adventurer and sort of kind of knocks him back. He sort of turns into this sort of black sort of smoke and sort of dissipates through the cracks and underneath the sort of doorways within the dungeon. The body that was you sort of just evaporates, and in its place is it's sort of the size of a walnut, but it's like a seed. It has this sort of this shining glimmer to it. It's very bright, and then it sort of settles down, and it just looks like a seed.
Nice.
You doing anything? You just leaving the seed?
I was gonna reach for the seed.
you pick up the
Giving you,
you pick
giving
up the
you a bit of
seed.
space.
You pick up the seed in your hand, And as you do that, you open your eyes and you gasp for air, and you come up from the pool that you're in. As you sort of hold out your hand with this seed in it. You're soaking wet, and Ceravel and who else was with them? Ceravel, Gregor, yeah, and Gregor sort of quickly run into the pool and help you up.
Thank you. Oh, it was awful. It's a terrible experience. Are they still sleeping?
Yeah, you look down and they're all sort of still in their pools. You notice from Tharaval, from Tharaval, and you notice there's a few bubbles coming up, but nothing. They don't look sort of under distress at this moment in time. Right, okay, moving on. We will go for... Who are we going to go for? We're going to go for Saren. So you follow the sound of the music to the falls, and you sort of go behind one of the falls, which you've done many times as a child. You know the way well. You make your way in. And as soon as you sort of kind of crest the sort of edge of the tunnel that goes through the sort of waterfall, what was your nightmare again? Being killed, was it, by your pursuer?
By the person. Yeah.
As you get through, let's see if I can. Sorry. Yes, that's what we want there. Okay. What the shit? Behind. Okay. Show the players. Go to everyone. There we go. As you sort of crest the cave behind the waterfall, you see this sort of orange glowing light coming, sort of reflecting from behind you. You sort of turn around the way you came, and you look out over your city, or over your village, and it's on fire. You start to panic. You run towards your home. You see people screaming and running away from the fire. You see people on fire. You see sort of dark creatures and men sort of be killing. And you get towards your family home. As you do, you are set upon by a unknown entity that sort of jumps on top of you. You feel this weight pinning you down onto the ground. This malevolent smile and horrible breath breathes and says to you, "I didn't get you last time. I'm going to get you now." And he pulls up this dark dagger and goes to plunge it into your heart. Roll me a wisdom save. Wow. Okay. Nice.
Wow.
Yeah. There you go. As he's about to do it, you is there anything epic you want to say? Because you've got a wisdom, crit save. Sorry, crit save.
I'll look him dead in the eye and say, "There's never going to be a next time."
Yeah. And then you sort of you fling up one of your daggers and click his away. As you do, you stab him in the head with the second one. As he screams, and the entire visage of your village just poof goes into smoke. he sort of disintegrates into sort of Althusis petals, and sort of they fall upon you. As you sort of kind of look down, one sort of the wind brushes one aside, and you see a seed that starts to glow, and then goes to normal, sitting on your chest.
I sort of pick it up between forefinger and thumb, sort of look at it like that, and you know how people like throw it up and catch it. Just say, yeah, got it.
As you catch it, you sort of you come up from your pool. You're awake again. You see Barty, and you see Saravel, and you see Gregor, and again they all clamber down to get you up.
Sort of gasp for breath, and I'm soaking wet, and I look at them and go, "That was thoroughly unpleasant."
Barty, you
Much
saying
more
anything?
lucid. Oh, sorry. I was going to say much more lucid than I imagined. I thought it would be quite a pleasant
Lucid is
experience.
certainly a word I would use.
Okay. So Brother Gadden, you see the hunting party leaving towards where their quarry is, and you sort of begrudgingly with some sadness make your way towards a sort of lake in the area, which you know very well. As you do,
You heard a chiming
yes,
sort of like sound the last time.
yes, you follow the sort of music towards the to the water. Now your nightmare was what again?
My friends, all enslaved by demons and taken to the gallows of hell, the seven hells.
Yep.
So
you as you sort of kind of as you make your way through the undergrowth, and why does this not work? Go. Oh, there you go. As you make your way through the long grass, you sort of push one side, a bit of long grass aside, and then another. And instead of seeing what you know is going to be this sort of beautiful, tranquil lake, you see this scene of horror and destruction. You see the hunting party in chains, in bondage. Some are being tortured. Some are being flayed alive. You see your new companions being trailed off in like a chain gang towards a dark pit. You see family members and loved ones all kneeling to this overarching demon. It's many heads sort of laughing as you approach. It sees you and goes, "You are going to join your friends."
He takes stock of his surroundings, knowing full well that this is playing on a darkness inside his heart. But he's not sure. Like I assume that because of the successful save previously, he knows full well what he's walking into, right?
The successful save has made you sort of follow that part, so you're through the dream, you're within the nightmare, so it's something completely different now.
So he looks up at the demon, or almost like he's got a grin on his face, and he says, "Well, you might be able to play on my fear, but honestly, if this is to be my nightmare, then I at least am going to relish in it by beating and slapping all 5 of your fucking ugly faces with one of my hands."
So brave. You will not be brave for long, lion man. You will suffer like these. As you do, these sort of heads come flying towards you to sort of bite down on your body. Roll me a wisdom save.
Okay. Wisdom saving throw.
Nice. Everybody's doing well with their wisdom saving.
+10.
Arnold's going to be stuck there forever.
Can I borrow half of that +10?
Yeah. Okay.
I'll give you 4.
I will let you describe how you want to sort of beat off. I want to beat off. I want to beat off these heads.
I mean,
Now he's Brother Gaiden.
Yeah.
Sure, it's a nightmare.
It's not that kind of roleplay.
I know. I was about to say,
Don
if the DM is if the DM is allowing me some level of proclivity, then sure. But
Yes.
I don't think it's that kind of thing. So he looks up at the demon at first, and he knows full well he's very confident about the situation. He knows that this nightmare is just nothing in a nightmare, nothing more than just a figment of his imagination. And so he almost, as if like by sheer will of force, he just grows in size to the point where he matches the demon. And then he looks at the demon and he says, 1 hand, 5 faces, 5 times the fall, right? And then he just smacks them all in one go, one by one. No, like that. The video where the guy goes around and slaps a kid, then slaps everybody else at the barbecue.
Yes.
Pretty much like
Yes.
that. He's like, "Now get out of my head, you pesky fuck!" And just slaps every one of them.
As you sort of
Cradle.
for each slap, you sort of the head sort of disintegrates into sort of soot and embers, and sort of kind of falls to the ground. The final sort of head, the eye, one of its eyes pops out and falls to the ground. As it does, your surroundings sort of disappear, and you're just there with this glowing seed on the ground.
That's more like it. Okay. Picks up the seed and looks at it sort of cautiously at first, and he says, I mean, this is in line with what I'm supposed to expect because it's a tree and yada yada, but it's so queer to see a seed on this demon." And then he folds it.
As you sort of kind of close it in your fist, you pop out of the water again, gasping for air, and sort of look around to see your comrade sort of trying to help you up out of the water.
So yeah, as he gets up, he looks at everybody else, and but he only sees Barty and Saren, and of course, like he looks at Gregor and Saravel, and he says, "Well, you did a good job keeping our bodies protected. In the meanwhile, I did a good job looking like a wet puss." So I have to be honest with you. This whole situation, I'm kind of glad I did it, but also, what? And just look to the other two. Did you have the same experience with just what?
Gregor
Was
sort of
interesting.
Gregor sort of
Yeah.
kind of whispers to Saravel, he smells really bad.
Oh no!
Come over here to shake out your mane.
Oh no! And he's just
I
like,
was
looking.
hoping for uppers, but we got something really bad.
No. Okay.
There was a
and
lot
then-
of fire and
and he looks at his hand to see if he's still clutching onto something.
As you open your hand, you notice the seed, and the rest of you sort of open your hands as well, and you've all got a similar looking seed.
We all got a handful of seed.
You got seed. You got seed all over your hand.
Yeah, it was about to say this is
Including me still trapped in the dream.
Well, hence,
This is some perverted joke here. Literally, there's seed in my hand.
You need to put the
That's my
seed
fault this time.
in Arno's ring.
Oh no.
Oh,
It'll be a
you-
tight fit, but
So innocent.
Can I
Use
retcon
me
a pendant?
tongue-in-cheek.
Please, can I retcon a pendant? so we
It is
can
a
brag
seed,
on?
and it will be forever. A ring. Okay, right. So, done. Right. So we'll go back to Tharaval. You make your way to the falls. It's an enjoyable sort of stroll through memory lane, and you make your way back. You sort of stroking the foliage as you make your way up the winding path to the falls. What was your nightmare?
I cannot remember at all. I've been trying to remember. I can't
Something
remember at all.
about so basically
It's
it's got
been
you
spotted by
standing on an
Pokémon.
island, looking over at a distant land. Something.
Oh.
This does not ring any bells at all.
I think it's got the prettiest nightmare so far.
It's Iceland.
Yeah, you find yourself
car
in a hotel car park after being snowed in.
Begging for seed.
I think it's something along the lines of what was it? What was your
It's the Fire Nation. It's the Fire Nation attacking the Southern Water Tribe.
Was it put into one of the chats or anything like that, or?
I think it's in the WhatsApp. Was it in the WhatsApp chat?
You might have texted him personally because I texted him personally.
Yeah, I did it in a WhatsApp chat to him.
I don't remember getting one.
You definitely give me one because I created a.
Oh, this is one I wrote, was it? Yeah. Okay.
I created an image for you.
Let's see. What was it? Nope. This could be a while back. I'm trying to actually think when this would have been.
3 weeks. 3 weeks.
Did I send it in? I can't remember what I sent it on.
All right, we'll just make something up. Okay, so you sort of make your way through the caves, and you sort of come out the other side, and you are looking over this grand looking vista of mountains and this very glassy, cold-looking lake. You then turn around and realize you're on your own. You see, sort of in the distance, people walking away. Yeah.
Find it. Tharavel finds himself in a frozen lake. The ice is blue and clear. Okay, I think I remember this now. The ice is blue and clear with the sun shining down on him. He can see his brother and mother and Augury standing not far in front of him with smiles on their faces. He starts to run toward them to embrace them, only to find that he can't reach them. Suddenly he falls through the ice. The cold water consumes him. He tries to find his way out, but the ice is frozen above him. He bashes on the ice to try and break it as he struggles for breath all the time his loved ones look on at him through the ice. His chest begins to tighten and he can't hold his breath for much longer.
All right, okay, there you go. Give me a willpower save. Willpower. Wisdom save, yeah.
Willpower. Where's my... Have I closed these again? I think I have. Damn it! Where's my sheet? There it is. Come on. Computer's just not playing ball tonight at all. Wisdom save.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. You fall through the ice and you start to go under. You see the faces of your family and your loved ones literally looking down upon you. You start to panic, and then you get the sense of this isn't real. The music's playing around you. You go, this isn't real. I can control this. As you do, you sort of take out one of your daggers and just stab it through the ice. The ice starts to shatter and move away. As you do, the faces that were looking down on you give you one last smile as they sort of dissipate into snow and fall. As you do, you come out of the water, and in front of you sits in a little pile of new virgin snow, a seed, starts to glow and then dims out and just sits there.
So Tharavel sort of pulls himself up out of the water. He kneels down next to the seed and sort of very gently sort of scoops it up with both hands, and then just sort of closes his hands over it.
As you do, you sort of wake up from the pool. You gasp for air, and your brother sort of comes down and sort of helps you up and goes, "We were worried about you, brother. Are you okay?"
Tharavel sort of he's kind of shivering because he still feels like the effects of the dream, and he's obviously sort of like very sort of dazed and confused, and he looks around. He sort of hugs Ceravel, and then sort of steps back from him and opens both his hands and just shows him the seed.
Says, "That makes 4," as he sort of as you open up and the rest of you have the seeds. Okay, Lance, you your lead sort of is drunk, and has fallen asleep at his sort of at the table within the antechamber. You sort of pick him up, just as you did when he was a child. Obviously not to show any of the courtiers around, but you take him up one of the back sort of steps and bring him to his room and lay him down on his bed.
I just step back and take a look around to make sure everything's secure. I just nod and turn to leave the room.
As you do, you hear something. Roll me a wisdom save.
Come on, lads. Oh,
Yeah.
he's done it.
Noise.
You hear music. You turn around and you see the you see your king looking at you, and he's not the man he was. He's the boy you knew, and you can see tears coming from his eyes. And he looks at you and says, I'm not sure what he would have called you as a boy.
I'm guessing Lance is an easy enough one for him to be able to say as a kid as well.
Yeah, sort of like, Lance, please don't leave. I need you.
I will never be far away, my prince. It is proper for me to stand guard outside the door while you sleep.
You sort of walk out the door. And what was your nightmare?
So it was me alone in a wasteland that used to be the keep,
Okay.
tormented and surrounded by the ghosts of all my friends that I'd failed to, and alone.
Sit there. You as you walk out the door, you sort of walk into this sort of desolate wasteland. You see the keep that was once your king's, or what was your king's but a moment ago, ruined. You see skulls, you see bones lying around. You see what looks like a great battle that has fought and it seems has been lost. You look around and you see a familiar sigil and crest, that of your king. You see a body filled with arrows, gasping for his last breath as he lies against a rock outcropping.
I stride quickly over to him and kneel down to put my hand on his shoulder and say, How can this be?
You were
I
meant
was
to
just in bed.
protect me.
I always did with my life, such as it is. You were just in bed. I just left your chamber.
He says, as you're saying that, the final arrow sort of hits him straight between the eyes, and he dies. You hear this laugh from behind you as you hear a sort of swoosh of a mace flying towards your sort of head. Roll me a wisdom save. Okay, so you you get clattered around the head. Roll me a Constitution save. Okay, so you get clattered around the head and you hit the ground. You shake it off, and standing in front of you is a dark figure. It's an amalgamation of all the foes you have dealt with in the past. Sorry, bear with me 1 minute. My dog's scratching at my door. Bear with me 1 minute. Bear with me 1 minute.
Are we ever getting out of here, lads?
Sorry about that. Okay, so it's an amalgamation. It's an amalgamation of all the foes that you've dealt with in the past. You know, the what's his name? Fuck. Who was the guy you got the mace from in the first place? The captain. And the dark figure who killed Draken, and the wizard, the Veil Walker who killed Galandra. You see this sort of shifting figure in front of you, laughing as you sort of kind of get back up onto your feet.
I reach over to my shoulder and draw Daybreaker, and I square up and I say, "This is too much. I shall not stand for it, and you shall not stand for it when I'm finished with you."
Okay.
Again.
Roll me a wisdom, see if you can have advantage.
Thank
Go on,
God.
lads.
Okay. There we go. You say your piece as you sort of Daybreaker glows, and you hear sort of on the wind, "Kiss my axe," as sort of the voice of Draken sort of comes from the wind as you strike him right in the head, and he dissipates into this sort of fiery embers, and the rest of the city behind you sort of crumbles down as the final shard of his armor sort of hits the ground. The wind blows away the dust, and you see a shining seed lying there.
Turn back to where my king lies and bow my head before I turn and pick up the seed and inspect it in the palm of my hand.
As you do, you sort of open your eyes. You obviously don't gasp for air because you don't breathe, but you sort of just sit up, looking at the seed intently.
I struggle to my feet, making sure that I don't lose hold of the seed. I look around till I find the others. I stride over to them as the water drains from me, and I say, "Apparently, I am not quite the last one to return from our little trip."
Okay.
No
so
pressure.
So we're back with Arno in his pub. He's singing, he's dancing. He's just finished his final rendition of one of his classics. toss a coin to your halfling.
Waffling.
Yeah. And is carrying on, offering his brother a few drinks. Some patrons are coming over, throwing in some coins and getting him some more drink.
Okay. Is everything still as it seemed before then?
Yeah, you can sort of question it if you wish. Sort of, I'll let you can have another save and then see.
All right. He'll sort of get down from the stage and embrace his brother and said, "These are the times I miss." How long have we been here anyway? I can't seem to.
His brother looks at you and says, it's the drink. It's the drinks talking, my brother. Put those questions to the back of your mind. Roll me a wisdom save.
Advantage, yeah?
Yes. Arno's going to be in a dream forever. Amazing. So you're all right. What I was going to do, by the way, had you failed your nightmare dream, you would have gone straight back into your dream, and you would have had to start again. So it was thankfully. But okay, yeah. So you realize, this is just a mirage, and this isn't real. As much as you want it to be, as much as you feel as happy as you've probably ever been in your life, you've got to let go. You hear music which isn't your own. You hear something quite beautiful, which, to your musician's ear, you feel like you want to follow.
My smile kind of fades a little bit, but I'll follow the music.
Your brother looks at you and says, what was your real name? Sorry, that's not Arno. What would he know you by? Jarek. He'll go, Jarek, don't leave me again, brother.
I turned over my shoulder. I said, "I'll never leave you," and I'll continue following the music.
You walk out the door of the tavern that you're in, and your nightmare is something about you and.
Do you want me to?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I will immediately feel like cold and wet, and the weather has changed outside. It's dark. There's a thunderstorm. And I look down and I'm smaller than before, and I've sort of reverted to a more childlike halfling form. And around me are sort of muddy ground and gravestones and stuff like that. And Arno will continue walking forwards, and he sees silhouettes in the distance, and as he gets closer he realizes there's a very long sort of wooden platform and beams stretching all the way down, and he realizes that the silhouettes are people, and they're all hanging from individual nooses on a long gallows. There are people that he recognizes. The first are halflings, his mother, his father, his brother, various other people. And as he walks down the line in tears, he sees Taunt, he sees Draken, he sees Thomas, Galandra, and Val, and he sees the number of empty nooses on the end, and he sort of shivers and turns around. What is this? And all of the people on those nooses all open their pale eyes when he stares at them, and they all just echo, "It's your fault." And then he hears a distinct laughing around, and it's the voice of Kivi, just laughing. And he falls to his knees and buries his head in his hands and begins to weep.
Okay. As you sort of you hear Kivi's voice, and she says, "My love, do not cry. It will be over shortly." As you sort of have this sort of little ray of hope, as you release your hands from your eyes, you find yourself within the gallows. You're on a stool. Beside you, your brother, your mother, your sister, and your friends are all hanging and jumping as the life from them gets pulled out. Kivi stands there, but a darker form, sharpened teeth, malevolent, with her foot on the stool below you. She says, "It will all be over soon, my love. It will all be over soon," as she goes to kick the stool from underneath you. Roll me a wisdom save.
I have inspiration. I'm going to use it.
Okay.
No.
Okay. You start to choke. She kicks the chair from you. I'm not going to send you back into your dreamland because I think it would go on forever with your wisdom saves. So you start to choke, and roll me a Constitution save.
That's +1 better than my wisdom save.
Okay. No. You.
You're not supposed to go in order.
We're going for a straight next.
So you take how much damage are you going to take? We'll say 2d10 damage. Yeah, so you take 4 damage. You sort of start feeling like you're choking, like you can't breathe.
Yeah.
And you start to. The rest of you see, you're looking down on Arno, start seeing bubbles sort of popping up from the pool. You can tell that he's starting to potentially drown. Okay, Arno, Kivi's sitting there, and you're sort of choking, and she's just watching you sort of die. She's like, as you struggle, she's like, "Shh, it's okay. It'll all be over soon."
So we're all seeing this in front of Arno, just like bubbling up.
Yes, you do.
Without even any hesitation, he just jams his hand into the pool and pulls the halfling out.
I didn't think we could do that.
As you sort of kind of pull your hand into the water, you start getting dragged in with him. You start to sort of Arno, you sort of look around, and you see Brother Gadden beside you on the gallows, looking confused, and he's on a stool, and he's got a noose around his neck, but he's not being hung yet. Kivi sort of looks over and says, "Oh, Brother Gadden, a newcomer. I guess you can join us too." As she goes to kick the chair from underneath you as well.
Gadden, if you look over at Arno, he'll be like his. Well, I don't know if you'd even recognize him because I'm a child, but I think you probably would. Like you'd see my eyes are red, like streaming tears.
Are you the only
Pardon?
halfling there?
No, my mother and father and brother are there, but they're dead. So
okay. Okay.
I'm the only living one, and I'll just sort of look at you while I'm choking, and you'll see me. I'll be mouthing, "I'm sorry."
Right. So, I on a noose as well, right?
Yeah. So
Yep.
roll me a wisdom save.
Okay. Here we go.
Okay, very good. Okay. As she goes to kick the chair out, you can do what you want to do.
As she does, he goes to stop her by putting his foot in front of her foot. And he says, I don't know you. You have a tremendous amount of power here. And he just kind of like shirks out of his bindings and just takes off the noose casually and says, hold this, sweetie. And then just walks along, steps down from the platform, and then looks at he is assuming the child is Arno.
Yeah.
So he goes and gets the child and he goes, puts his hands underneath where the child's foot is. And he says, right, now you do the rest because you need to do this. I can't pull you out. I'm just going to help you.
She's like, don't listen to him. Don't listen to him. You are meant to be with me. Don't listen to him.
I don't think that she would want. Go on.
No, as I sort of stand and regain I look at Gadden and I guess I recognize him, and sort of momentarily sort of snap out of my doom and misery, and I look over. You're not her. And I cast. I only need dissonant whispers, so I cast dissonant whispers at this being, so she'll hear like a whisper of a and take psychic damage if she fails to say.
Yeah, I'll not make you take another wisdom save. I'll let you just sort of break out of it. She sort of screams, and as she does, the sort of bodies beside you sort of kind of explode into sort of dust and dirt. The whole area just sort of kind of disintegrates before you. As before, the rest of them, as the dust sort of settles, you see a seed sort of lying in some of the dirt, shining and then going back to normal.
Am I now myself?
You're back to yourself. Yeah, you're no longer a child.
Sort of look down. I look at Gadden and say, was I really that lost?
That's for you to decide. I'm not here to walk your path. I'm just here to help you when you need it the most. Just pick up that seed, though.
He looks down at the seed. And back at Gadden. He says, please, do not tell the others of what you have seen here. By all means, tell them that you saved me, but do not tell them what you saw.
I don't know what you're talking about. He winks.
And he bends down and he picks up the seed.
Oh, heartwarming. Gonna make me cry. Okay, yeah, so you pick up the seed and as before, you sort of kind of burst out of the water, gasping for air, with Brother Gadden holding you, sort of bringing you up from the pool.
I'll be coughing and sputtering up water and everything.
And when Brother Gadden gets
down,
to
you
the
brute.
surface,
And he does.
When Brother Gadden gets
back
to the
and
surface,
drops him back in the water.
when Brother Gadden gets to the surface, I sort of cuff him about the head. It's like, do you have to be so reckless all the damn time?
So after he puts down Arno, he just kind of like stretches and then just shakes so vigorously that everybody catches. Yeah, he just shakes so hard and he goes, what, Seren? If it wasn't me, then somebody else could have gotten it wrong. Except probably Barty. He looks like he's the smartest of the bunch here. Anyway.
I walk over to you and I put my finger a moment just to say, wait. With my other hand, I reach out and I pull a little fish out of your ear and throw it back in the water.
Lads, I will have you know I was saving that for lunch in case I needed it, but now you've gotten rid of my one ration that I could have enjoyed the most. I'll remember that.
It looked a little bit dirty.
It's fine. I would have eaten it anyway. Where I'm from, you make do with resources.
Okay, so you sort of all, talk a little bit about what's happened, and Arno's a lot more quiet about his experience, but you sort of have similar tales of a wonderful dream and then a horrible nightmare and then finding these seeds. You sort of make
I
your
didn't have a wonderful dream. I just had a wistful dream.
you make your way back to the tree. So as you return to the Dreamweaver with your Dreamweaver seeds in your hand, Aurelius acknowledges your success with a nod. Well done, courageous seekers. The Dreamweaver seeds are the essence of balance. With them, you carry the potential to cleanse the veil of whispers. Now, to complete the ritual, you must retrieve the artifacts from the Harmony Hall. As she sort of looks over to a grand hall in the western part of the island. She gestures towards the structure at the edge of the Dream Gardens. Harmony Hall holds artifacts necessary for the cleansing ritual, but be warned, the hall is not all it seems to those without the vision. It conceals layers of reality and illusion, and discerning the true artifacts from the illusions will be your greatest challenge. Aurelia's voice takes a measured tone, emphasizing the gravity of the task. The artifacts you seek are the Mirror of Truth, the Chalice of Desire, and the Scales of Justice. But remember, appearances can be deceiving. The true artifacts may not reveal themselves readily to those who lack the vision of the Somnium Enclave. She fixes her gaze on each adventurer, a silent assurance in her celestial eyes. Trust in the echoes of your journey. Let the Dreamweaver seeds guide your discernment within the Harmony Hall. The threads of illusion and reality intertwine, and only those attuned to the dreamlike essence of this place will unveil the path to restoration. With a final encouraging nod, Aurelia lets you proceed, the soft hum of the Dream Gardens resonating as you approach the enigmatic Harmony Hall. Okay, so we've got half an hour left. Do you want to move into the Harmony Hall, or do you want to call it now? It's up to yourselves.
Why not? Well, from my side, I'm happy to continue with it.
Let's go
Yeah.
function up.
I think the last thing before he goes is he asks Aurelia, so how much time do you have?
She looks well, actually roll. Yeah, no, I'm not going to make you roll. You can tell that the once beautiful tree, Althafusis tree, is looking somewhat more withered now. What was a small spot of decay and blackness seems to be corrupting, a quarter of the tree now. She is straining, but still conscious and still fighting whatever is within the tree. She says, "Just be quick. I will be here when you return, but please, quick."
I
Okay.
look at Tharavel and say, the corruption's getting much worse, much quicker than I was hoping for.
Ignore
These
that. I'm
things-
trying to delete it.
These things do sometimes build up a momentum of sorts as they grow. So I suspect that we need to be faster rather than slower within reason.
Okay.
Pretty much. So
Cascade thoughts.
Okay. So let me just make sure I've got the right bit here.
in terms of like all the illusions and stuff, Barney's got the ability to spend an action to gain some ethereal vision, so he can see into the ethereal plane. But was it all flavor, or is that going to be helpful?
Um,
We're conscious it's like different.
yeah, I'm not.
Like,
It's more sort of. This is a way to sort of so you don't break things with spells and stuff. It's more of a sort of. There's certain. I think there's certain ways to sort of discern things, and it won't be using spells and stuff.
No worries.
Yep. So you make your way in to the sure of it. Where are we? Where's my bloody bookmark gone to? Where are you, bookmark? Oh, there you are. Okay. Ooh. Okay, you make your way into this very grand looking hall. It's very ornate looking. It has many items and artifacts and paintings and things surrounding its walls. You notice within the sort of four corners there are sort of there's a mirror in each corner. There's also within the mirror there's sort of a plinth that holds a cup and some scales. And there seems to be one of these in every corner of the room.
Are they identical or do they look different?
Well, it's up to you if you want to sort of how you want to sort of look at these things.
So, if I took a walk around the room, looking at each of the groups of items, do they appear to be similar?
Oh. Okay,
or
so
are some more ornate than others?
Okay, so as you walk around the room, so you have. There we go. So you are going to be in. So the northern corner is going to be to the diagonally left. The southern corner is going to be the back right. Okay, just figure this out. Okay, so
super wide angle.
So we'll start you off in the western one. So you see as you walk past, you see a cup. It's a simple looking vessel. It's engraved with sigils and ornate sort of designs. You sort of recognize it. It feels like it's one of the cups that your prince used to have as a child. It's got this feeling of like you know that cup. It's very familiar to you. You sort of look at some scales. Scales. These aren't very. This is you got basically don't look like scales at all, but they're meant to be scales. They are they're very ornate looking scales with what looks like silk covering them. They have they're kind of hard to see, but it's like they're veiled by this silk. You also see a mirror in front of you as well. And the mirror, which mirror is it? It is. Oh, actually, I've got. Oh, birth one minute. Yeah, I've got descriptions of these things, so I can say what they are. Okay, so
But would we know that
Uh,
if you describe them?
Yeah, it's like little plaques next to each one, like a museum.
Yeah.
Are you
no-
saying that these in these 4 locations they're all similar objects, but they all look different? Or they
Well,
look
you
different
don't
to
know
each
that. You
other?
just sort of kind of get this vague view of these items being there. Lance is walking around looking at them now. So you've got so the scales that you're looking at, which are
Was
scales.
that chalice? Sorry, Matt. Was that chalice familiar to Lance specifically, or to us as a party?
Oh, are you? We haven't looked. If we're currently, well, I'll go
Okay,
through Lance
that's
and
fine,
yeah.
sorry.
So Lance is
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
his looking thing, and then.
Okay.
So the scales. Yours are. Yeah. So you've got a pair of scales covered in a thin veil of silk, obscuring, its true form. The surface of the scales appears smooth and unassuming, giving no indication of their purpose. The chalice you see again is as I described it. It's just familiar to you. You feel like you know this the chalice. You know this is one that you've seen before. The mirror is a majestic mirror veiled in gossamer silk. Its surface is obscured by a soft, ethereal mist. The frame of the mirror is adorned with intricate filigree and delicate lace, giving it an otherworldly elegance.
And that's the first alcove.
That's the first corner. So you've basically got a cup that looks familiar. You've got a pair of scales with a sort of silk draped over it. You have a mirror which is sort of like with sort of silk and is very ornate and very delicate looking.
So I move on to the next alcove.
Okay.
See if the contents look different.
Okay.
I think at this point Arno would be seeing this, and he'd go also to check out.
Okay, so what I'll do is the speed.
That little shuffle around the gallery.
Yeah, so yeah, we'll do it one by one. So what I'll do is I'll give you so as I'll do this. So we'll do you'll basically be going through each one past it. So I'll do this for you. So where are we? Arno, as you walk past the first set of artifacts, you see a tank guard. It's it's a nice looking tank guard. Again, it's very familiar to you.
It says beer ear.
Beer. In it, and it sort of reminds you of, it's sort of your first sort of dabbling in crime, and you saw a very ornate looking cup or tankard when you were young at a local sort of ale house, and you took it, but you lost it many years ago, and you see this thing that's something that it reminds you of your past, and it's something you've coveted for a while, and you've missed because you've misplaced it, or it's got broken or lost or stolen, and it's there. As described, the other two things are the same.
Okay.
Okay, as for we'll go one by one. So we have.
Oh, I want that tankard now.
I was going to
Someone
say.
3D print me this.
Gavin, we'll say you walk past as well, and you
I was gonna say, he's not really interested in the anything else but the mirror of truth.
You don't know which
Um,
one it is.
Yeah, so he's looking for it. So he's gonna look at all of the items, but he's got a bit of a weird logic about it. He'll dismiss anything that doesn't fit the description of what he thinks is the mirror of truth.
Okay.
So he's gonna make an assumption.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'll do the description. You as you're looking at the mirror, you sort of notice with some interesting looking animals. It's a bowl, but it's sort of carved with all these different animals from your homeland. You see scenes of hunters, and you see wildlife. You also see what seems like a mirage of animals sort of frolicking within the sort of sphere of the cup, within the bowl. The sort of the liquid seems to sort of project images of animals sort of running around a familiar place with you. This sort of has some, as much as you are trying to sort of particularly look for the mirror itself. I think this bowl intrigues you because it's very familiar to you. You feel like, it's similar to one of the sort of ritual bowls your people would have used, and it's there, sitting in front of you. Okay.
He's gonna try it. Okay, carry on. Sorry.
Yeah. So I'll move through everybody's, and then we can do actions afterwards and stuff. So, we've got Saren. So you have this very ornate looking, you sort of see this ornate looking teacup. It's made of wood and ivory or some sort of elk horn, and it reminds you of a set that your family used to own. It was the pride of your mother's house. You didn't have very much. You weren't a rich family, but she very much cherished these items. You believe your father had sort of carved these and, used the antler to sort of create the inlay for them. And this sort of resonates with you in this item in front of you. And we're going to Barty.
Yours?
Yep. Okay, so you get this sort of, again, you've got this teacup. It's got these. It's a bit of a play on the cup and ball. You've got these sort of balls sort of playing around, and it sort of reminds you of this time when you were young and you first started sort of showing an interest in magic, and a local mage had this cup in his establishment, and he used to sort of, move the balls around the cup, and things would come up, and then he would just sort of sip out of it and put it down, and it used to blow your mind. And it was then that sort of the world of magic became a thing for you, that it was your moment that you was like, yeah, that was your sort of eureka moment in your life. This cup sort of brings back a lot of memories of that position. Finally, we have Tharaval. You have this quite ornate looking goblet that is covered in deer antler. It's carved. It's got your family crest on it, and it's one of the cups that used to sit on top of the mantelpiece in your home. you've not seen it since you left that fateful night with the Rangers party, and it brings back a lot of memories. You never thought you would see this item again.
Okay.
As for the rest of the items, I'll just go through them as you're going through. There's not one for each one. That's the only one that has separate one. You have in the let's see. So we're in the west, and there. In the so we would go into the north. In the north, you've got this mirror. It's a plain. Well, it's ornate in its own way. But it's not as golden as the rest of everything around. It's not as ornate as everything around it, but it's simple, and it has a sort of a lunar shine to it. You feel like there's sort of runes and stuff around it that sort of glow slightly when you walk past it. You also get this, which is that's the mirror for the chalice. Yeah, so you've got a magnificent goblet crafted in iridescent crystal, adorned with intricate patterns that shimmer and dance in the light. The surface of the goblet is smooth and flawless, reflecting the viewer's innermost dreams and fantasies. It's a very pretty looking goblet, and sort of shines bright, reflecting different light beams, colored light beams around the room that flow through it. Okay, and you also get a set of scales, which are these one. No. Oh, we wanted. This one, I think. Why aren't you showing? Damn it.
Can't tell a lie, it's not my fault.
Not opening up for some reason.
How rude of it.
Yeah. Come on, let
Let
me
me check his butthole.
Let me just click. Alright, come out of these. Okay, we'll do this one then. So it's a set of scales. It's made from different sort of materials: stone, wood, metal. It's a very harsh looking item. It seems slightly off kilter. One side's definitely a lot heavier than the other. And it stands out slightly different than some of the other items in the room, as it's not as pretty as some of them. You move yourself to the east, and you see mirror, mirror, mirror on the wall. You see this.
Do we?
It's a very grand-looking mirror. Within it, there seems to be mirror within mirror within mirror, and there just seems to be this sort of cladding around it. That it's the most ornate mirror within the hall, and within each mirror there seems to be another mirror, and it just seems to go on forever, which is confusing because you would generally see that when you see mirrors facing each other, but as it stands, there just seems to be these mirrors that keep on going on forever within this mirror itself.
As we look at these, can we actually see ourselves as in normal?
I'm just going to
mirrors?
describe everything, and then we can start going through stuff because I don't want to get. I'm going to show you what everything is, and then we can start asking questions about
Sure.
stuff. Yeah.
Okay, fine.
So that's that. Then you've got your scales, which are. These ones. You see a scales laden with gold, like, you know, to the point of feels like you can see the chains straining from the amount of gold and jewelry that's within their within their bowls. You move on to the finals part of the room, and you see some very intricate looking wooden scales. Within the sort of scales themselves, one contains a feather, and the other contains a golden heart, and they seem to be balanced on each other. For some reason, it wouldn't. I tried so hard to have those within the things, but it just came up with some really random stuff. So this is what you got instead. The chalice you see is this one. It's the most ornate looking chalice that, and the most decorative one that's within the hall, filled with diamonds and rubies and gold, and it's surrounding it are precious gems and stones, as well. There's nothing magical looking about it. It just seems to be very, very opulent. And finally, the last mirror. That is and it is it's a grand mirror framed in intricately carved mahogany, embellished with sparkling jewels and precious gemstones. The surface of the mirror appears flawless, and it offers a mesmerizing reflection of yourselves as you walk past it. So there you go. Those are that's what's in the room. That's what's around you.
I turn to the others and say, I must admit I was quite surprised the first chalice seemed so reminiscent of one I remember from when I was much younger.
There was no chalice there. It was a tankard.
A teacup and saucer.
Yeah, teacup from the magic shop.
It was,
Some fuckery of magic. That's
A
what I'm
child's
seeing.
toy.
Some absolute fuckery. If you're all saying different things and I'm seeing something different too, I trust no one and no one's opinion right now.
Then nobody consulted the seeds. We
Sorry,
rub them and wander around.
before sorry, I wanted to say to you, you can't just pick things up and stuff. You've got to choose one of each and leave the hall with it. So you can't just sort of you pick them all up and start inspecting them all. You've got to make a decision and go, these are the items that we are taking with us, and leave the hall with them.
So,
What
That
have we been
looks like the
told
couple of a
again
carpenter.
to bring?
did they seem as unusually ornate to you?
I saw 3 other chalices.
But they were all quite a lot more ornate, weren't they not?
They were.
With jewels and ornate detailing. Yet the first one we all saw different. I saw one that I remember my prince owning, a memory of times past. And yours? You say they were familiar, and was that something that you recall wanting when you were younger?
Mine was, for sure, yeah. It brings back a fond memory of my past, perhaps more mischievous days.
You
You
have
have
Mine is
you had past mischievous days.
He cracks a wry smile. Wouldn't
obviously
you like
before
to
he
know?
disappeared inside his ring.
Dang. Okay, so we're all seeing different things from this first chalice. I'm going to just call it as it is. It's that chalice. It's showing us different things. So
It's
we
showing us
take that
things
one.
that we desired.
Well, yeah, so mine was an ornate teacup that my father had carved for my mother. It was one of the most precious things she owned.
So
I just saw
we all had
animals.
attachments to it. So yes,
Yeah.
I think that chalice would represent desire, would it not?
Yeah.
Agreed.
I don't think there's any.
Did we all see the same scales and mirror? And Anna will sort of describe what he saw.
So the first scales were shrouded, veiled
Yeah.
in fabric.
Mm.
The second, however, were plainer,
Mm-hmm.
not totally plain, but they weren't as ornate. They were more rudimentary, correct?
You had
Yeah.
so the first ones were covered in silk. First ones were covered in
Mhm.
silk. The second ones were
Wooden.
Yeah, I've just closed one of the pictures by mistake when I was whittling things down. Whoops.
yeah, I've got cups. Cups, one of the cups. Yeah, so you had, let's see, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, there were 4. Yeah, so you had the second one was basically it was stone and metal, and it was slightly lopsided. It wasn't as ornate as the rest. It was showing a lot of sort of strain on one side over the other.
And then the next one was wooden.
The next one was it was full of gold and gems. It was laden down on one side. There was just gold throughout it. It was the most ornate one, the most opulent one, the one with the most treasure around it.
The final one was balanced. A feather and a heart. A heart of gold.
Duty is sorry.
I don't think it's. I think it's the scale that's uneven.
I'm not sure. I recall tales of an ancient god that used to judge people based on the weight of their heart.
And if your heart is as light
The feather.
from your deeds as a feather,
we're free of sin.
I think we
Sin is
need.
a burden.
We're gonna lean too much into something that we don't that it's gonna distract us from the
My
current.
argument against the one that is weighted to one side
Hmm.
is that either means that the hand of justice is too heavy, in which case it is not justice, or there is a lack of justice, in which case, again, that's not justice. If there's too little of it, then deeds are going unpunished. If there's too much of it, then deeds that should not be punished are being punished.
And I'm gonna go and use your argument to support the fact that we don't actually know what justice is. This is and it's an interpretation depending on perspective. We can therefore surmise that it is telling us a state of play now.
Or it
I
is
agree
a-
with Brother Gaiden. We are stood in a place. Its whole meaning is balance,
Mm-hmm.
and the balance is fading. This could reflect that.
but we're seeing a representation which is burdened by excess money, i.e., corruption. We're
Well, I
seeing
wouldn't
a
touch that
version
one.
where you can't see what's in the scales because they're veiled. You're seeing a version which is out of kilter, and you're seeing a much plainer version which represents balance in it itself. So if this place is illusion, full of illusion, and only one is truth, the others are
A version of truth and the scales
they're
of the
illusions of things that we are more comfortable with because they're imperfect. Does that
No,
make sense?
I agree with you, Lance. I think that the real scales are the scales that we can't see because we don't really know whether true justice has been met.
No, I think that they're the scales that are balanced, the ones with the heart. I think the thing is that we have so many fears about what justice is that we come up with comforting lies about why things aren't always as we would wish. Sometimes we tell ourselves that no one can know true justice, and that comforts us. Sometimes we tell us that justice is broken, and sometimes we tell ourselves that justice is up for the highest bidder. But in reality, justice is a balance, which means that our own desires aren't matched to it because we're inherently uneven. We have attachments to people.
I disagree.
What say you, Thorvald?
Anybody else got anything to say?
Thorvald's sort of listening to everybody talking, but as it's going on, he sort of works his way around the room, and he's one by one he stands in front of each mirror and looks at what is reflected back at him in each one.
Okay. So let's see. So the mahogany one, you look at it, and as you look through it, you see your face. It's perfect. There's no scars. There's no dirt. Your garb is ornate and well tailored. You've got the best weaponry that is available. You even see sort of in the background sort of visages of your home. You see a restored land. You see your village rebuilt. You see you upon your father's throne.
Okay.
As you, yep. So if you move across to the next one, you. So that was the one with mahogany. You move across to the one with it's very ornate. It's very cool. It's got multiple sort of kind of layers to it. It gleams. You see sort of within it. You see augury, and you see again, you see sort of visages of of your family. You see basically your dream reenacting in front of you, sort of dancing around in front of you within this mirror. As you move on to the next one, you sort of walk past it, and it shows a shadow. It doesn't show anything that you see sort of shades of something. You see shades of yourself. You see shades of familiar shapes and things, but you can't make them out. And then finally, you move across to the sort of more simple mirror, which is smooth and polished. Looking into it, you see a face that is tired and that is battle worn. You see scars and you see tattered clothes. You see yourself as you are.
So while he's standing in front of this last mirror, he's going to take the seed out and hold it, sort of grip it in his hand.
As you sort of hold the seed out towards the mirror, you see sort of light glowing from in between your fingers. That seems to get stronger as you move your hand towards the mirror.
Okay. And that's the last one, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's the last one.
So he moves to the next. He moves to the next, or the other three that he's looked at, and he sort of holds the seed towards each one of them to see if the same thing happens.
As you sort of push your seed towards it, nothing happens.
Okay. So he sort of turns to the rest of the group and shouts, I believe this is the mirror of truth, for I only see myself as I am. And the seed is an indication. What was her woman's name?
Laria.
Laria, yeah. She told us that things are not always as they seem. So what we may desire may not be what is the truth. So we need to choose carefully.
I reach down into my pouch and take out the seed that I have, and I walk over towards the first chalice that we all saw differently, and I just hold the seed out towards it.
As you sort of hold the seed out with your palm out, this glowing light starts to get brighter and brighter as it gets closer to the the cup.
I walk to the next alcove and hold it next to one of the more ornate chalices.
No light emits from it.
I will. Oh, sorry.
And say, shall we check? Do we wish to check the scales as well?
Yes.
I'll look at.
It would be pertinent, I
Gadden.
think.
I'd look at Brother Gadden and sort of nod and take out my seed and stand at the balanced scale and nod to him to check the veiled scales. And I'll hold my seed out to the balanced one.
And he'll go to the veiled ones.
And I'll go up to the one with the money in it. Do the same.
I think it's gonna be the crappy looking one.
So what's everybody's guess on this, by the way? So what are we going for? What do you think it is?
Me and Lance think it's the balanced one.
I think it's the balanced one as well.
I think it's the veiled one.
I think it's the crappy one.
I'm going to go for veiled because of the veil of whispers.
Okay.
I'm going for the Last Crusade objects here. That looks like the
This
cup
is
of a carpenter.
cup.
That was
True.
the cups.
Holy.
I was going to go for that, and that's Lance's wooden cup was a sort of reference.
Yeah,
to
that's the first thing I said. I was like, oh my god.
That's a reference to it.
You chose poorly.
Poorly, yeah. That's the trip of a carpenter. Okay, so you all sort of step forward with the seeds and put your hand out. The scales that are tilted to one side and looking naff, no light comes from that. No light comes from that seed. The scale that is filled with gold, as you will all no doubt know, no light comes from the seed. Finally, you go towards the balance scale and hold out your hand, and the seed starts to glow and starts to get brighter and brighter. Yeah, get closer. As you go towards the veiled scale, finally, nothing happens to the seed.
Arno says, "It is this one."
Justice is cruel because it's balanced. Because we wish that it would be tipped to what we wish was right.
Grab the scales, take them. All this philosophical mumbo jumbo. We have a mirror, we have the scales, what's left?
So
So-
Tharval goes back to the sort of plain mirror, and he.
Are you all definitely taking these things, or this is your decision?
So
Yeah.
I've picked up the chalice from the first alcove.
I'll grab the scales in front of me.
And I'll get the mirror.
Okay. You pick up the items, and you proceed to walk out of the hall, the Harmony Hall. As you do so, you hear the music that sort of was percolating through your dream starting to play through the hall itself. The items you've chosen wisely.
Mhm.
Leave the hall with the right artifacts. Oosh. Right. Okay. I guess that's a good point to leave it for now, then.
Sounds good.
Nice one, chaps.
Nice.
Yeah, cool.
Nice.
Nice.
That was good. I like that last bit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I wasn't sure if it would work or not. I thought, I was like, it's either going to be super easy, or I didn't know if there would be any sort of challenge to it. But yeah, I was glad you had different views on the scales. Yeah.
It was like the thing was with like the scales and the chalices is like we're all sort of seeing and interpreting different things, whereas I sort of looked at it like, right, well, if with the mirrors is like you can actually see, so technically you should be able to see something from these, so you can at least sort of test it out. And I was like, if one of the mirrors is showing me the way I am, then that to me means that's the mirror of truth, unless it was like a double, like, because you said things aren't always what they are, or might not.
I didn't want
So
to.
I was like, am I going to stand in front of this? It's going to show me, which means it's telling the truth, but it's not telling the truth. And I was like, fuck's sake. So I was like, right, okay.
No. I think there was. I didn't want to kind of mess around with it too, but that's why the seeds were there. So if you picked up on the fact that you needed to use the seeds, and that would sort of help you where you needed to go and stuff. So it didn't overcomplicate things, and you got where you needed to go. But cool, nice one. Yeah. Okay. So pretty much next week is going to be the ritual. And that's going to be the end of this quest line, I guess. So, yeah, readying ourselves for a ritual next week. And we'll see what happens.
Ritual sacrifice.
Ritual.
14, here we go.
Okay, so for tonight, I've been Matt Geary. With me has been Conrad as Arnold Jerkel.
Farewell.
Michael Starval Eldon.
Goodbye, everybody.
Jace as Brother Gadden.
No lemon pledge.
Lecky as Bartholomew Pringle.
Good night.
Marcus Lantz.
Got a little something in your ear.
And Vic as Seren Sanguine.
Sweet dreams, no screams.
Very good. Night night. Bye.